in the age we live in, do you want to be Netflix or do you want to be Blockbuster? And the answer is clear. Don't feel the pressure that if you want to go to membership, that you have to do that for all your clients. There's actually an 8 steps of going to a membership model that we've created. But ultimately, we look at that client relationship as a partnership. We want our clients to look at our firm as an asset on their balance sheet, not an expense.
Welcome to Deduct This, powered by ProConnect Tax. This is where tax professionals come together to share ideas, experiences, and fresh perspectives to help you grow your practice and your future. We're glad you're here. Let's get started.
Hi, and welcome to the Deduct This podcast with Carrie and Lexi. I'm Carrie.
And I'm Lexi. Today we're talking about the future of tax practices, specifically on how subscription-based models and AI are transforming the way that tax pros do business.
We are so excited today. We have Chris Picciurro joining us today. Chris is an acclaimed tax strategist, an educator, and innovator who's helping tax professionals and firms build sustainable, profitable practice. Chris, we are so excited to have you today.
Well, it's an honor to be here. I have to confess that I have listened to quite a few of your episodes already. So thank you so much. The vibe is awesome. You've had some amazing guests on. Some of the names I recognize and have had the honor of meeting, and some of them I need to meet one day. So yeah, it's an honor to be part of this group. That's for sure.
Well, we're so happy to have you. And, Chris, we've had you at events before and I've seen you speak, and you have a podcast of your own. And we're just super excited to just have a conversation with you today and learn from you. We know that you have built this thriving tax practice with a subscription-based model. And that was long ago before that was even a common thing or people were even starting to think about that. You were way ahead of the time there. How did you initially see this opportunity and why did you make that pivot from the traditional hourly billing?
I have been doing this for a long time, and I've been a firm owner for a little over 22 years. And I know you ladies are probably wondering, yes, I'm the Doogie Howser tax. I started when I was only 10, okay? And if you don't know, and I guess by mentioning Doogie Howser, you know how old I am. And so we'll throw that out. But I was a very traditional turn and burn firm for about the first 10 years. And it just wasn't, I didn't see that as sustainable. And really, I was listening to the clients, what they wanted. And I was thinking, a client came in about, 15 years ago and said, hey, would you be willing to just charge me a flat amount for everything you guys do? And I'm like, yes, of course. Remember, if you're listening to this, let your best client pick your next client. So, okay, this sounds good. Let me tinker with this. And we started doing it. We actually ran parallel, starting this membership-based subscription model with the more traditional model of not necessarily turn and burn. We pivoted that to more of a bundled pricing, and then finally went full subscription after a transition period. Ultimately, it was a client that planted a seed for us, and I'm very thankful for that. I'm thinking, just think about this. Think about right now in the age we live in, do you want to be Netflix or do you want to be Blockbuster?
Yeah, for sure.
And the answer is clear. So I thought, okay, let's go to subscription. I mean, almost all industries have market leaders in the subscription space. Now, there's a lot of scary elements to going to subscription. But ultimately, we look at that client relationship as a partnership. We want our clients to look at our firm as an asset on their balance sheet, that relationship, not an expense on their profit and loss statement. So it all started with a client request. And that was 15 years ago. And it took 2 to 3 years to really transition the firm over to that subscription model. And I'm very thankful for it. Very, very thankful. So
I love that. I love the comparison to the Netflix, right? Like everyone's trying to figure out what's the next best thing. Originally when that came out, people were like, what is going on with this thing? So I love that you took an example of something else, right? And you applied it. People wouldn't go Netflix and tax in the same sentence and how you compare that. So I love that idea. And so a lot of people are going to consider that visionary, and you were definitely ahead of your time on that, right? But how do we think about, in today's day and age, right? I'm still not hearing this from a lot of accounting firms. And so how do you feel like having the subscription-based model is particularly well suited for like today's accounting professional? So what would you say to them?
So there's a lot of issues there. Let's talk about it from the accounting professional standpoint. Okay. First thing you want to think about is, it's very, very clear we have a retirement cliff, right, in our industry, and we have a pipeline issue, meaning there aren't as many people coming into the industry. So you've got to think about that. I need to build a model that's sustainable. So take the mentality, and I kind of have these two phases of my career so far. That first 8 to 10 years where I was hero balling a lot. Even though I had an amazing team, I was not using them. The business ran on me doing things. And I pivoted to this thought of, okay, processes run the business, people run the processes. So even if you're a solopreneur right now, I'm going to tell you, it's much easier to go to membership-based subscription model than someone that has a firm of 10 people. It's easier to turn around a motorcycle than an 18-wheeler. So from the tax professional side, the benefits of the model, right? Number one, cash flow. You have predictable cash flow moving forward. As I said in the beginning, pipeline issues are tough. Now you can attract and retain talent because you have that confidence that, okay, I can offer you, I know what my cash flow is going to be. I can then manage the workflow. Remember, we want to manage our workflow. We don't want our workflow managing us. So I can, if I have a team member that has their kind of book of business within the business, you might have 100 clients, 200 clients, and these are their needs. And then, so the cash flow, the deeper client relationships are so important. Your clients, once they realize that they're not quote unquote on the clock every time they talk to you, email you, et cetera, they're going to open up to you. And you know what's going to happen? This is like the kind of, I almost hesitate to talk about this on the podcast, but I'm going to tell you right now, our revenues outside of the membership fees we charge, we make 40% more additional revenues just from implementation of advice. So the more your clients are talking to you, the more opportunity there is to take that. Ideas are cheap, implementation's valuable to implement. An example, let's think about an example. We'll go real basic example. You have someone that's a Schedule C. Now, I hesitate to say this because S Corps drive me nuts a little bit because I think it's something people jump into too much. But you're a tax professional. You have a Schedule C taxpayer. You know they could save money legally and ethically by being an S Corp. So build a bundle. Now you've got S Corp preparation. Now you have payroll processing. Now they're picking up, maybe they're getting phased out of a QBI deduction. Ultimately, they get the tax savings. You're probably going to generate somewhere between $2,000 and $5,000 more revenue per year based on that. And that's a great example right there. On top of maybe you're working with a financial advisor, maybe you're licensed, maybe you're a dual professional and you can help them set up a solo K plan. And there's so many different types of implementations that sprout from that decision right there. Maybe you can make a pass-through entity tax election. So think about that from the tax professional standpoint in building that membership. And what I would say, the only one more thing I would say is don't put the pressure on yourself. I was very fortunate to speak at a huge conference. And one of the things I was talking about was we went from how to build a pipeline of leads and prospects, how to date your clients also. That's very important, especially anyone that's married or in a serious relationship, you got to date your spouse. And so the thing is, don't feel the pressure that if you want to go to membership, that you have to jump and do that for all your clients. Draw a line in the sand. There's actually an 8 steps of going to a membership model that we've created, and think about it moving forward.
I love that. And you said something perfectly, like it doesn't have to be all at once. And so talk about going back to that time where your client did say, hey, can we do like something monthly and move to this model? That was scary. And I think one of the things that for your peers, like it's scary. Will I lose my clients? Will they adopt this? What is your advice in a situation like that to take that first step?
If it's a client that you have a great relationship with, tell them, hey, you know what? I've been thinking about this model before. You're going to be my first membership model. Let's try this for 3 months. Let's see how it goes. That's not a huge commitment. 6 months. Let's see how it goes. Give it a try. And I would say the mentality, Lexi, that I feel like a lot of tax professionals don't realize they're doing. If you're listening to this, you probably, and you're not on the membership model, you're probably doing things that part of the membership right now for free.
Exactly.
Our membership includes, totally. We're going to look at any type of tax notice and support those tax notices. You're doing it anyway. So in our membership, we're going to reply to all your communications within 1 business day. Biggest complaint we get from new clients, my person is not available. Availability is one of your best abilities. How do you do that? It's really simple. Time block. Now, if you have a book of business that's very heavy on 1040s and you want to create this membership and you've got that first one, you know what the membership's going to include? I'm going to reply to all your communication within 2 business days. Make it easier on yourself. If you're not a membership client, I'll get to your emails when I get to your emails. And you have to start creating that separate level of service, right? Part of the membership is when you're trying to transition some of those previous clients. And so yeah, you've got to be willing to, to take that chance. I use the example, and I've got almost 3 teenagers now, 16, 15, and 12. If my wife and I didn't give our kids a bedtime and we let them drink, Coke until midnight and then get upset at them the next morning when it's 9 a.m. and they're laying in their bed, that's on us. So,
totally.
Tax professionals, remember, boundaries equal freedom. If you haven't given your clients the boundaries, you haven't given yourself boundaries, and they're not bad clients. They're going to run all over you because they don't know any difference. If my parents let me stay up till 2 a.m. playing Legend of Zelda and drinking pop every night, I would have done it too.
Oh my gosh, I love that you said pop. That just gave away where in the country you're from.
Yeah, so and that tells into the membership. So I'm from Detroit originally. I spent 41 years there. My wife and I, over 9 years ago, moved to Franklin, Tennessee. So I don't know if we are just south of Nashville, about 18 miles. Had it not been for this membership model, I would have never been able to relocate. We wanted to raise our kids in a different area, and we looked at the country, we fell in love with this area, and it's amazing. Been great for us. So yeah, and it helps if niching. It's when you have me back on another episode, if we get enough listeners that say nice things, we'll come back and talk about something else. But
for sure, you'll be back.
It's interesting to hear, the fact that you were able to move with this, right? Because I guarantee, or I shouldn't say that, right? I'm not going to put that words in your mouth, but my assumption is that when you came up with this model based on the customer telling you, right? So you listened to a customer problem, you came up with a solution, and then you started to roll this out. My guess would be you didn't think, oh, this would allow me to change some of the lifestyles for my family, including moving across the country to somewhere else, right? It's interesting to see how these little decisions, right, make such pivotal things that happen and bleed into different parts of our lives, right, when you don't understand necessarily the repercussions. So I think it's very interesting.
You nailed it. Luckily, the subscription model allowed us to hammer down, or moving to the membership-based subscription model, create this membership. And then I started finding that I love real estate. Our firm loves dealing with real estate, and we started niching in real estate. And then after we rolled this out, I realized, jeepers creepers, 20% of our clients are actually in the Detroit area. Why? Maybe I can move, you know?
Yeah, you can live anywhere.
And it worked out well. So, think about the Netflix and Blockbuster. Netflix has pivoted, right? Netflix, no one gets DVDs anymore outside their grocery store, but you still have the subscription. And so I would say, don't be afraid of it. Look at other industry leaders are doing it. You can do it. If anything, we've been doing this for a long time. You'd still be on the cutting edge of it. And if you have 1 or 2 really good clients that you want to roll it out with, great. If you don't, think about rolling it out moving forward. And then what's going to happen is after you roll this out, you're going to realize that you probably have a lot of heavy baggage. And I'm going to come back to a travel analogy, but you're going to have a lot of heavy baggage in your practice that you're going to have to make some tough decisions with, right? You're going to either need to bring them into that membership, or you're going to have a different, just a different division. You're going to have to manage that as well. So
interesting.
That's great.
I actually have another question. So
I figured. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's shocking. I always have so many more questions. I can talk to people for hours. So one of my fascinations, and this comes out in every single podcast, is my obsession with AI, and it's little by little becoming everybody's obsession. And so, so that's another pivotal change that we're starting to see not just in, the in the accounting and tax industry.
Mm-hmm.
It's starting to creep in there a little bit. It's happening everywhere. So are you using it? And is there different ways that you've talked, or you could think about like that you are using it in order to enhance these client relationships in your subscription model, or just practice efficiency anywhere?
Absolutely. I mean, we use it every day in our practice, every day. Yeah. So some of the things that we're here taking a step back. I know that, so there's a professional CPA, his name's John Higgins. I think he's done stuff for Intuit. He's nationally known for AI and a lot of other things. And I've gotten to know him from my time with some of the state associations. And we had him on one of our podcasts. And so we've got one podcast for tax professionals, one for the general public. My parents and wife don't listen to either of them, so that's fine. But that's okay. But the one for accountants, we had him on to talk about AI, and he said that the best way to think about it is firms that use AI is not going to replace us, but firms that use AI are going to replace the firms that don't. So we have that mentality. Practically speaking, yes, we use it on a daily basis. I've used it so we learned how to build our own. And I know there's some specific tax and accounting research. We build our own channel with a premium ChatGPT subscription just for our own tax research. We have a repository. So we have we've got a bunch of stuff on social media and YouTube, on our podcast, all this stuff. But what's happening is people on our team, we have an amazing team, but they're like, hey, I need something on Roth conversions. And I'm like, oh, we did a reel on that. We talked about that in this. But no one could find it. So we built this own channel that looks just through our own content, so that if a team member says, I need something for a Roth IRA, something that we said that we've come up with, here's the link to that. Okay, now I can send it to the client. So there's short-term rental loophole. Just came up yesterday. One of the team members, hey, I've got a client they can't sell this house. I want to make it a short-term rental. Oh yeah, we did. I mean, shoot, we've done a lot on that. And now he can grab that information. So that's part of what we're using it for. Yeah. I think it can analyze information quite a bit. Obviously, you've got to be concerned about some, data security. However, it's the new internet. It's the new, Google's going to be extinct probably.
Yep.
There aren't any Gmail accounts. Sorry if they're a sponsor of this podcast.
No.
But,
not yet.
Yeah,
Google.
Yeah.
It should be. But the kid, we don't. It's changing where I look at things that I usually look at AI for my research before I look for other things. So yeah, we're using it quite a bit.
That's so great. And, a lot of people in the profession, we've been talking to so many customers, and we've been hearing from people in some of our webinars that we've done about AI and how technology is rapidly changing, specifically in the tax and accounting industry. There's a lot of people scared. There's a lot of people hesitant to jump right in. And let's be real, it can be overwhelming. And I guess, I love what you said, just kind of take steps, like how you're talking about the subscription model, right? Like and advisory. Take the first step, do things, make your email more efficient with it. Can you give a little bit advice on how did you start dipping into using AI before you went into this big channel organization and efficiency? Right. Because there was a step you took.
Yes, I like using it. I think starting off with email is a good idea. Now, be cognizant of sending emails out without looking at it. I look at it as a good way to organize our first draft. I like it. I typically now I have a note taker in on all of my phone calls, all of my Zoom meetings, and we disclose that with people before they have to consent to it. That alone saves me a ton of time. I can now have a conversation with somebody, and I'm still making some notes, but I'm not focused on that.
Totally.
In that right there, I can go into the note-taking software that I use and say, could you write me a summary of this meeting with action items? Yep. It'll spit it out in 10 seconds or less. Now, I've got to look at it because it's probably 90% correct, but I want to do that now. And then you got to read the room, right? Okay, is this client to the point, or do you want a little softer? So think about with your AI, if you're using it to help you with emails, the tone is important.
Yeah.
And think about it like it's almost like a pet. You know, you've got to train it. It's not just going to kick out something. So a lot of times I want it, hey, I want something a little more friendly. I want something a little more firm. I'd like something a little more, you know, hey, mention he's a Detroit Tiger fan. We lost the game yesterday, but that's okay. Let's do that. And so you can use it, but it's still it's still what you're doing. I use it a lot on, so yeah, emails are a great place to start because a lot of times, especially as tax professionals, I found myself like, oh my gosh, my fingers can't work as quick as my mind.
Yeah.
I've got like 6 things I want to tell this client about.
Totally.
So I'll put that in there and say, can you draft an email with these points? Also, wish their daughter good luck at her gymnastics competition.
Yeah.
It's that human touch that you're talking about, right? Like, I think people are afraid that AI is going to be taking over our jobs and over everything, right? And there are parts of our jobs that may be taken over in great ways, but it's that human touch that we're not going to lose. And to your point is your business is a lot about that relationship. These are customers that you've had for years, and that your tonality and your personality, like that can still be in all the things with AI as a little helper, if you will.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It'll start learning kind of your tone and your personality.
Yeah.
Even if you talk into it, your cadence. So yeah, I look at it as almost like another person on our team. They're not
exactly.
It's still our words. They're still our thoughts, but it's helping you. And think about this: if you're resistant to it. And again, we used to, 40 years ago, we used typewriters. 50 years ago. Now we use computers. It's all evolution. We have one of the sayings, you evolve or erode. So you're going to do one of the two. It's up to you. And if you don't, so if you're maybe have a year left in the tax business and you don't have an interest in selling your practice or transitioning clients, I mean, I know, Intuit's got a program.
We do.
Your horn that I'm very familiar with.
We have a great program.
But then you could erode. But it's coming. So you got to deal with it. Like, that's life.
I love it. I love it as a tool, right? And I love the approach of like start with the emails. And it's so interesting because I think some people are like, well, then I got to input all this information. I have to do all this stuff. And it's like, well, hold on a second. If you thought, hey, I need to write an email, it would normally, if you timed yourself, I love timing myself. I think I'm an accountant at heart. I love numbers. I love data. I love all this stuff, right? And every accounting professional is like, oh, dear God, please don't let her in the profession. But think about, right? Like if normally, if you're going to write a well-crafted email to a client, you're probably taking 15 minutes to really make sure you have all the stuff in there. If you can spend 2 minutes putting it in your AI, putting the little things in there, and then editing it, if you took that 2 minutes, you now turned to 4 minutes, you just saved yourself 11 minutes. Those minutes turn into hours, hours turn into days, and that time frees you up to do other things. And so I think it's interesting as I talk to people who seem to get scared, I'm like, just try one thing and just see if there's a there with it and see if you get an aha moment of, again, it's not a cut and paste because you will get some crazy stuff in there sometimes. So you do have to read it and you do have to have your personality. So I just love that. I'm going to pivot back because I am really curious about this subscription thing. And well, I could talk about AI for days. I do, I think about conversations that I have with pros all the time. There is often a lot of worry about trying new things. We've already talked about that. I love the idea of start with one, start small. You don't have to go all in. And we've heard this pervasively for all sorts of different topics on our podcast of everybody's like, everything doesn't have to go 0 to 100 on day one, right? You can start and do little by little. But let's think about, I know that a lot of times it's not even about the starting. A lot of people are very worried about how clients are going to perceive this. And then how do they come up with pricing models that that you realize are fair for you and are also fair for your clients? So think about like just the pricing. How do you come up with these type of pricing models?
So our pricing model is, of course, it's proprietary, but I'm going to share with you a lot of information about it. But no, our pricing model is, it's always evolving, right? Something that really just happened, my business partner, so we're big, we both read the book Traction, and there's this whole EOS, entrepreneurial operating system. And I'm more of the visionary and he's definitely the implementer. And he's like, hey, what's happening is if there's three or more state income tax returns, because we use ProTax Connect, great software. I'm not just saying that to kiss up a little bit, but we use that. But if there's 3 or more state tax returns, it's like 1 to 2 is easy. When you get 3 or higher, the complexity of the return skyrockets. So our pricing model wasn't accounting for that. Our pricing model looked at how many state and local returns we had, put a factor on that. I believe like $100, $125 per return that's spread out per state or local return over time. But there's a big jump after 3. So we had to just recently tweak our pricing model that if it's over 3, there's a premium just because it gets a little harder.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always evolving. Don't feel like it's stuck no matter what you pick. So pricing model, first of all, you have to build out what your membership or what your subscription entails. I'm going to tell you, most likely it entails things you're doing for free right now. Absolutely. Notice, replies, like I said, all these type things. So for us, we call it our 3 Ps. It comes with access to our people year round. So if you're someone that has an office that's open all year round, you're already available to people if you like it or not. Now, you got to put some boundaries up. We invented something called CPA Urgent Care that runs 3 days a week for 2 hours.
That's cool.
It's virtual. Yes, it's basically it's professor office hours. So clients could jump in whenever they want in that time frame and get right with the people.
That's awesome.
Average stays 11 minutes. Average wait times about 90 seconds to 120 seconds.
Oh, wow.
And it works great because I've got,
brilliant.
Hey, my car just died. Should I lease or buy a car?
Yeah.
Those little conversations you're having with clients, 10 minutes or less. First step is don't do 45-minute meetings for those conversations. Hour meetings. What are we doing here? Yeah. So that's
so smart.
Little hack. But so ours includes access to our team. That's going to look like whatever it looks like for you. If you're a 1-man, 1-woman team, I'm coaching another tax professional CPA right now on implementing this. I'm like, that's not bad. Here's what you have to do though. People are stopping by your office, have a set period of time where you're available for them to have a discussion. And if it's not at that prescribed period of time, you're not available to have a discussion. You can't, every time someone comes by your office, if you have a physical office, it's eating up 15 or 20 minutes a pop. Easy. Because you got to undo what you're doing and get back into it. So people, we call it the preparation. There's that tax compliance piece, all the tax returns they're preparing, and then planning. So how can what does that include? It might include, if you're just dipping your toes in, 1 meeting a year, 1 tax planning meeting a year. I'll tell you a mistake I made right off the bat. I included a year-end meeting. Guess what happened? Everyone wanted to meet in the last 2 months, and I didn't have the capacity. So an annual meeting for clients that have much more predictable income, try to move that over into the summertime. Now ours, we have unlimited amount of meetings. That could scare people. But guess what? No one's going to book a meeting with you every day. They're eventually going to get sick of you, and they're not going to do it. So as the tax pro, what you have to think about is stress is expensive. If you take that stress away from clients, you add value. What's stressful to clients is price uncertainty and availability uncertainty. They're willing to pay a premium for some type of certainty.
And knowing what they're going to get. Yeah, absolutely.
And you're willing to, Lexi, if I said, you know what, Lexi, I can't remember where you're at. Are you in?
I'm in Dallas.
Okay, the big D, right? Hey, Lexi, you could fly to, you don't want to go to New York. You probably want to come to Nashville and have fun with us, right?
Yeah.
You could fly to Nashville tomorrow for $50. You might be like, that sounds great. But what if I said, I can't tell you what time you're leaving. Show up at the airport at 5 a.m. We'll leave between 5 and midnight. So by buying an airline ticket, you are locking in certainty. Now that could get delayed, but in theory, certainty. So do that for your clients. Give them some certainty 100%. Of what you're giving them. And that'll start building out. So first step is figure out what you're going to offer. And then the next step is the pricing. Pricing gets tricky. So what you want to do is you got to, like for us, we IRS notice support audit. If someone gets audited either in person or correspondence, that's included in the membership. Now we know audit rates are pretty low, and we've kind of tried to audit proof a lot of these returns ahead of time. So that's underwritten when I do the membership. And quite frankly, if you're working with a client that you think is going to get audited, they're probably not in your risk profile anyway. So you wouldn't offer them a membership.
Exactly.
And if a client gets too aggressive, you could always say, look, this is outside of our auto protection plan. We're not comfortable with this. You can, remove them. But so you've got to build out what is included, then pricing, figure out the components of it, put a value to it, divide it by 12, and also one hack, have a setup fee.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to have the setup fee. I was about 8 years ago, 9. Yeah, I had already moved. I was out visiting. One of my best friends is in Houston, and he's got a very successful, I don't want to get into details, but he's in the real estate business. He subsequently sold his business for many, many $1 million. Of course, we did a tax plan, which is great. But he was taking me to the airport because I was there trying to help him get this thing situated to get sold. And he's like, Pick. Well, that's one of my nicknames. Mm-hmm. Charge a setup fee on them. I love the membership. Do you do a setup fee? I'm like, no. He's like, dude, why not? I'm like, I don't know, because I don't think people will pay it. He goes, then you don't want them anyway. I landed back in Nashville, started doing the setup fee 8 years ago, and we're not a big firm. We have 11 people on our team, and we've collected over $300,000 of client setup fees over that time.
You just said something that I think so many people feel. You said, I don't think people are going to pay it. Mm-hmm. I want to unpack that again. I know I talked about that early on. I fully believe that is why people are not moving to this. I think it's the fear of, again, that they're not going to do it. Mm-hmm. They're going to drop me as their accountant.
Right.
And I'm going to have no clients. Yep. And you just spoke to that. That didn't happen. Yeah. They leaned in.
Yes. And here's the thing. Right now, I'm going to talk about pricing. I'm going to be very transparent with us. Right now, our minimum membership is $5,000 a year. We're going to take on 25 to 30 clients this year. That's it. And then our average is about 14,000 right now. It's all relative because we have a proprietary process where I've got a whole process to figure out, can I add at least $30,000 a year of value through legal and ethical taxation and compliance. That being said, you might be listening to this saying, oh, okay, I got this guy that's telling me he's been doing this for 12 years. Trust me, there's a lot of failing forward. Our first membership was $30 a month.
I was going to ask that. I was going to ask that.
First, and then
it's amazing.
Our first setup fee, our minimum setup fee was $250. Because think about this. If you're bringing a client on, the setup fee is how you mitigate the risk, the flight risk, right?
Of course.
You got a client coming in October. The fear is, oh gosh, what if I prepare their tax return in February and they leave? You set up your system where if the membership would be let's think of the membership's $2,000 a year. But if you did tax prep only, it would be $600.
Right.
Make sure by the time you prepare that first tax return, you've collected $600. So increase the setup fee. Have that setup fee. And then the setup fee also works for back work. I met with a prospective client today. They're an amazing fit. Elected S Corp, AGI is about $1 million. Again, this is the great fit. This fits our avatar. We've created what we call our ideal client formula. And, but he has 2024 returns are on extension. So there's a premium to pay for that, so you've got to, that's going to be part of the back worker setup fee.
Right.
If you do bookkeeping, if you got cleanup, put it in there. Good. Clients don't have to like your prices. They have to be willing to pay them and they have to see the value.
Absolutely.
Transparent. Yeah. When we go to a restaurant, we don't, at least the restaurants I go to, I'm not that fancy. I know what I'm, can you imagine going to a restaurant and nothing on the menu has a price?
I would like that.
It happens.
It does happen.
And then this is
going to cost a lot of money.
$300 to $500.
That's when I go,
this what expensive land.
Yes. I'm with the Intuit crew and I'm at a steakhouse. That's what I'm hoping.
Right. Yeah. It's a good gig. It's definitely a good gig. Yeah. I think this is all super interesting. I agree is that people pay for value and Lexi and I, we've literally interviewed hundreds and hundreds of accounting pros over the years and the amount of people who have their same prices for 25 years and have not increased them one time. Yes. And they're like, my clients will leave me. And I'm like, you've got to be, first of all, inflation alone, you should have been like double or triple at this point because you've had these people for so long. They obviously value you because they come back to you every single time. They just go, oh, I only pay $1,000, whatever the price amount is. And that's the reason I'm working with Shirley or Mike or whoever it is. So it's so interesting, the perception of, they know that pros know they provide value, but they just get so scared about some of that. So I do think that is interesting.
Carrie, that's a great point on pricing. I'm going to piggyback because that's a fear. That's a fear on going to the membership model. So again, I've had a lot of iterations of this. Our memberships, clients can cancel at any time they want, 30-day notice, no long-term contract, self-renewing. So it's on them. Here's the thing though. If once they cancel their membership, it's over. Like, I'm not going to go back because you didn't hand in your stuff for 2 years and do 2 years of tax return. Membership's over. So and the other thing is build in those pricing changes. So what we did is I started for a while. I was like, hey, the fee won't go up more than 2.5% per year, because I'm thinking 2.5% is not it's a modest bump, but we're getting more efficient. But then we had a year of high inflation.
Yes.
So it tweaked it. And now it's 2.5% or 1% plus CPI. We can increase your membership, whatever it is, if the scope is the same. If there's a scope issue, then we have an addendum to the membership. Sure. So all these fears can be,
mitigated. Yeah.
Mitigated.
Yeah.
And I, like I said, I know you're going to put my information in here. We have, if you want to have a chat about it, I'm happy to help coach you through. We've got a mastermind group and do some one-on-one coaching, but to have a 10, 15 minute talk, I really feel like I've been blessed to be in this situation, and I want to get back to our industry. I think that we got to collaborate over compete. There's no one's struggling to find clients at this point.
100%. It's the opposite, right? Like they're offloading clients because there's just, the supply and demand, right?
Oh my gosh,
absolutely.
For sure.
And go ahead. Well, I was just going to say, as far as the membership, one more, just because we're talking about pricing, I'm going to go back to the airport right now. If you go to the airport, you can book a ticket, and in Dallas, probably American Airlines. There's one of these other ones, and you pay for the ticket. You show up with 3 bags that are overweight, you're going to pay.
Yeah, you are.
Now, that's what happens when you have an addendum. You have a client that's a membership, so when you quote the membership, hey, the membership includes tax compliance for up to 5 rental properties in 3 different states. Now, they might only own 2 properties when I quoted them, but I'm going to quote them up to 5 because I don't want to nickel and dime people.
Right.
The membership, we have 0 AR, we have 0 timesheets. A lot of that admin time's gone. Now, if they have 6 properties and they're a great client, we're probably not going to change it. But if they come in I sold this apartment building, I did a 1031 exchange, and now I have 12 properties in 8 states. Okay, you're coming into the airport with all that baggage. We're going to have to do an addendum to your membership changed because the scope of your membership changed.
Yep.
Yeah, that's interesting. Something you just said made me want to ask another question. You talked about timesheets, right? I think when I go to the lawyer, I do think when I do go to my accounting firm, because they are not subscription based, I do think about I load up all my questions. So I make sure I have one call. I'm I'm going to keep it to 30 minutes because I know what this thing's going to cost me. But I literally I prepare ahead of time so I can make sure I can get all my money's worth. But let's flip it on its head a little bit, right? So there's the client perception of this. And I do believe I love the idea of I understand exactly what I'm going to pay, what I'm going to get. I love an all-in. That makes me very happy. What about the flip side? What about, you talked about no timesheets for your employees. And a lot of firms do this, right? Because you're billing by the hour still. So what is the dynamic on the team, and how do they feel about the flip side of having everybody on subscriptions? Is there something that you've seen kind of change over time with them as well?
Yeah, I think they like it because they don't have to fill out timesheets. It comes down to them managing a certain book of business, and we're so from a team standpoint, I think it's worked out really, really well. They have the flexibility to time block. Time blocking is scary. Many people that start their own tax practice in accounting practice do it because, I want to have freedom of time. I want to have this. Well, unless you time block it, you're not going to have it. So we now can time block a half hour to an hour, maybe, just to reply to emails and phone calls. That way, every email, every reply is getting done within 1 business day. It doesn't mean that I'm going to have it. If someone sent me a list of 10 questions, I'm probably going to recommend they set up a more formal meeting. I'm still going to reply to the email. Or, you know what? These are great questions. email's not always a great place to have a conversation. Why don't you jump into CPA Urgent Care, and we're happy to talk through them with you.
Yeah.
So that's
Smart.
So from our team standpoint, they like it because we're basing it on more client satisfaction and growth, not build. Like, I can't stand the whole timesheet model. Like, so if you're good at something and efficient, you just get more work.
Yeah, you get penalized.
It's
Preach.
so silly.
Yes.
It's so silly. But you know what? Some people, I mean, now in some ways, sometimes it could that there's people that do that. But I would say even if you don't want to go subscription, at least, I mean, I would beg you to come up with some type of package pricing, even for tax preparation.
Yeah.
I've been
Absolutely
for a long time. Like, we did for the first time in 12 years offer tax prep packages. The reason is I've been doing a lot of personalized tax plans for people that are not our full firm, like a couple a la carte plans for people. I've been collaborating with other tax pros. And I'm like, okay, well, if we did this plan for someone, we should prepare the return for them. They're really not a candidate for a full firm membership. So at least let's have a package. And building packages is a great way to kind of have a membership. And it's awesome, especially if you're a community-based preparer and you keep getting the soccer moms, the next door neighbors, the PTO people. Oh, you do taxes, can you prepare my taxes? And they think they're going to pay $200 and your minimum might be $500. Have a website. Hey, great. Yeah, I'd love to help you. I'm going to send you the link to our, some of our packages, and it's a soft way of saying my minimum is $500 without meaning.
Right.
Yeah.
I think you just answered this, but I want to ask one final question, and maybe you have a different answer, but I think I know what kind of where he's going to be. But what is your final question. What's your most important piece of advice for tax professionals who, again, feel hesitant adopting and recurring these kind of models? What one right now, just off the cuff?
Don't feel like you have to implement that with your legacy clients. Your windshield is a lot bigger than your rearview mirror. I know it's cliche, but it's so true.
Love it.
Look forward. What you've done in the past is not a failure. We win and we learn. And just think about the future. Build something out. Try it on the next 2 to 3 prospective clients. You've got nothing to lose. Remember this: your practice is going to run how you engineered it. And if there's something you don't like about your practice, this might sound harsh, it's your fault because you engineered it that way.
Yeah.
So you can re-engineer it, or you could let it engineer you.
Yep. That's great advice. Chris, thank you so much. This has been so insightful, so fun as always. And I mean, the advice and the knowledge and hearing about the subscription models and how you're using AI, I just cannot wait for our listeners to hear because it's just so helpful. And we can't wait to have you back on. But thank you so much for today.
Yeah.
My pleasure. Oh, I'm sorry, Carrie.
No, that's it. I was just going to say, I couldn't agree more. I've loved this conversation. I think we touched on so many topics, everything from AI to subscription models and why and how you can start adopting some of these things. And so I'm really, really excited for our listeners to listen to this.
Well, I would say, reach out to me. My information will be in the show notes, or just go to modernfirm.tax. Let's put it this way. I'm a practitioner too. I'm not a trained coach, a certified coach. I'm just someone that has been through a lot of stuff. I've luckily started this practice when I was very young, and I care about our industry. I care about taxpayers. So you're not alone out there. Take one step. One relationship could change everything in your life, and I really appreciate this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Chris. Well, that's it for the episode of Deduct This. For more insights from Chris, follow him on Teaching Tax Flow and the monthly Reoccurring Revenue Institute. Until next time.
Thanks for being part of Deduct This, powered by ProConnect Tax. If today's conversation gave you something new to think about, visit accountants.intuit.com for more insights and resources made for professionals like you. We'll be right here, helping you turn expertise into opportunity.